And we're live, and we're live. Thank you, audience. You guys are great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome into another episode of the Young Dad Podcast. I'm your host, Jay. It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for listening wherever you are, whatever device you're on, whatever platform you're on. Thanks for listening, and thanks for sharing with a friend. And if you haven't shared with a friend yet, well, now is the perfect time to copy that, hit that little share button, copy that link, and send it to your bestie, or just send it to that first person, whoever pops up on that little bar at the bottom. So, with that, first thing, before I introduce the person on the screen with me, I've got to invite you guys once again to hit the subscription to the email newsletter. The email newsletter comes out twice a week. Ideally, it comes out on like Wednesdays and like Saturdays, but sometimes it comes out like Thursday, Sunday. Sometimes I'm feeling real ambitious and it comes out Tuesday, Friday, and but you get it twice a week. Twice a week. One of them is going to have your new episodes, everything coming up for that week that you can expect, and then the other one's just a midweek check-in. Your midweek check-in newsletter is going to just be, practical dad advice, practical dad hacks, practical dad tips and tricks, some mental health tips and tricks, all these really cool things that are coming out in the newsletter that I'm really enjoying putting out for you guys. So please make sure you subscribe there. You get first dibs on links to the new episodes. You get first heads up for when I have a new book published. I have some new books coming out here soon. So you'll get first things for everything. So please hit that subscription button to the email newsletter. And I believe, as they say in the industry, that's enough of the business. So let's get down to it. So, joining me on the screen today, joining me on set, joining me on the pod, however you like to say it, is Andy. Andy, you're one of the co-hosts of the No Nonsense Zone podcast, correct?
The Nonsense Zone.
I can't read.
No, that's fine. Read. That is fine. Yeah, we are completely nonsense, actually. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We just started this. We just taped our 9th episode. We're doing one a week, so 9 weeks ago, and yeah, it's a blast.
Congratulations, that's awesome. Yeah, it's at the time of this recording, it's 9 episodes, so it'll probably likely be more.
Sure.
When this comes out, but so far so good, right? So a little bit about your guys' show for the listeners if they're curious what Nonsense Zone is. Not No Nonsense Zone. I just can't read. It's okay. No. Words are hard. 2 childhood best friends, now in their 40s, telling funny stories, talking movie, TV news, and ending each show by discussing the weirdest news story we could find. So, in proper tradition, I guess, of your show, what's a weird news story that you found recently?
Recently, I don't know if this would so much fall as as much of a story, but I came across an advertisement for something called, and apologize for, it's not really bad language, but something called Balls Out Bowling in Pennsylvania. I think it was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. What? It was nude bowling. It's a tournament. Yeah. Yep. It's a tournament. Nudity is mandatory. No kind of sexual activity is permitted, but in order to participate, in order to get in the door, you have to have a ticket, and you have to be nude. It's co-ed. Girls are allowed to wear bottoms. Guys, the question we had was, what about the shoes? It seems like if you're bowling, you need to have the bowling shoes. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just an example of something that we came across. It's like, oh yeah, we got to talk about this. Another thing that we talked about is it's been all over the news, actually. The Alaska Airlines flight where the door flew off.
There was more. There was another recent
It's been a horrible month.
There was another recent incident, and then they inspected the planes, and they found it was a certain bolt that wasn't tightened down all the way on the door. And then they went back, and they went back through all of those planes that they landed and everything. And all of them had this defect. Every single one of them. And
as a nervous flyer, you love hearing that stuff. I mean, it's sarcastically.
Nervous flyers, rest assured that they grounded all these planes, and they've been doing heavy inspections on every single Boeing aircraft. The thing that sucks is that no matter what, you're pretty much flying a Boeing jet in some capacity. You're either flying a Boeing jet or there's literally one other company in the world that makes airplanes to the same capacity that Boeing does. One other one. So it's not a monopoly, so it's fine in America.
It's very close. It's about as close as you can get.
It's about as close as you can get. But no, go ahead.
So what stood out to me was the very first night that they talked about this on the national news. Mm-hmm. And of course, they started off by saying that no one was hurt. So I felt, okay, all right, there's my green light, a comedy show writer stuff, was that the last line that the newscaster said was that the pressure of the door coming off even ripped a gentleman's shirt off and pulled it out. So that gave us material that just gave us so much material to riff on and to make jokes about. So this poor guy, his got to be thinking all the thoughts. Maybe my life is ending, whatever, panic, people are screaming. There goes the dignity side of it, just like, yeah.
100%.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that. So that's the type of news stories we like to talk about.
I like it. I remember back when we started the podcast, one of our bits that we did was ridiculous like headline.
Sure.
And pretty much all we had to do was go search Yahoo News.
Mm-hmm.
Because Yahoo News has the stupidest headline. They are just straight clickbait at this point. Some of them are actually informative. Some of them are good. But a lot of them are funny. And then you look at the ones for like parenting and stuff, and they're even more fun. But
what Yahoo does specifically is they track you, and which all websites do.
Of course.
But so whatever articles you click on, those are the articles you're going to see moving forward. So yeah, and I will say I agree. There is a lot to choose from, but when you're doing this every week, it kind of like, oh shoot, there aren't any new or anything that we could really work with this week. Got to keep looking. So I sometimes have to comb through dozens of websites to find like, oh yeah, all right, we can work with this one. But,
yeah, we can riff on this one a bit. That makes sense.
Yep,
that makes total sense. So you guys are just two childhood friends that just kind of started a podcast.
Yeah.
What motivated you? What motivated you guys to do it? Was it just like you guys were having a conversation one day? I'm doing it in classic like dude fashion. Did it come down to the point where it was like we should either go to therapy or start a podcast? And then you opted for the podcast, or you guys were having a conversation one day and you're like, man, we should start a podcast.
Well, this was my baby. Okay. I been wanting to start something, and as I started off thinking about what to do, it was kind of having one of those introspective moments where I was like, 45 years old, when I'm looking back at myself, to use a wrestling term, there's the heels and the baby faces. Haven't always been the baby face. Sometimes I'm sure I'm the heel in a lot of people's stories. It's like I just like to put something positive out there, and the only thing that I'm qualified to do is make people laugh. So then it was just a matter of, hey, you know what? My buddy, we text every day. We don't get to see each other very often, but shot him a text like, hey, would you want to co-host a show? And he said, he was a little skeptical, but he's the funniest guy I know. So he would have been the perfect one. And I was like, I think we'll have fun. And ever since, he's been just like, dude, this is so much fun. And he looks forward to it every week. And
that's awesome.
So we just kind of been rolling with it.
So what's your background when it comes to writing comedy writing, this kind of stuff? Like what's like your initial inspiration for it? Because it sounds like you have a background, some experience in this domain.
Just actually very little. Okay. Years ago, I was on, I have a friend that has an internet radio show, or an internet radio station, actually. And he invited me to be basically the comic relief guy. It was a tech show,
Okay.
and
Oh yeah, that needs
at
some
the
comic
time,
relief.
yeah, and well, at the time I wasn't really. Now since then I've gone on to get my IT degree, and I actually am a techie person. But at the time I wasn't. So my job was just to like, okay, there's something there I can work with. I'll chime in, and that's one of the transitions that has been most difficult for me. Is I wasn't the host. I was able to just kind of sit back, and I didn't have to move the show along. I didn't have to, hit cues or anything like that. So being that host role, because my co-host Lenny Bruce, he's got to be the funny guy. I mean, I'll give myself credit, I'm funny, but he is 100 times funnier than I am. So it's like he's got to be the funny guy. That means I have to be the host. So I have to be the one to learn to be a host. And as it's not keeping that conversation going isn't always easy. It's takes some work.
It does.
So
it takes a lot of practice in time.
And so I wrote for that show, and that's really the only background I have in it. It's just something that growing up, huge David Letterman fan, huge Conan O'Brien fan. The thing that I always stood out to me was that they were at their funniest when things went wrong, when things didn't go according to plan. And so kind of that's what I aimed for. And, that's where I kind of went with that.
I love that. And I think that's because a lot of those guys that we don't really think about it. Like, we think they're just doing stand-up and they have like scripts and they're being paid to be funny, right? But no, like these guys have like a really strong, like some of those guys have like professional, like improv level, like training, and they love when they can fly off the cuff. Like
it drives my wife crazy. It just sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It drives my wife crazy. She's just like, you're so quick. Like when you see anything she says, like boom, I just have a quick joke response. And to what I point out, my co-host Lenny, much quicker than I am. I mean, it's like it's got to be tough for her to have conversations with me because like she knows I'm going to be like, I'm going to have something stupid to say. I'm going to have some kind of a movie quote in the chamber, and something like that. But no, you did improv? That to me, that's scary.
I did improv in college. I did it for a couple years. I was part of an improv group on campus at my first university. It was a blast. It was so fun. It was probably one of the most challenging things I ever did. Like, I've always loved being in front of people. I've always loved stages and acting. I did theater in high school and middle school. Like, a lot of stage background. I'm not afraid of a stage. I'm not afraid of a crowd. I played sports at a high level, so I'm not afraid of like eyeballs being on me kind of thing. Like I like attention. Why do you think I host a podcast? I like the attention.
I often tell people that I'm better talking to an audience than I am talking to a person. I have a bit of a stutter. It's gotten, I've for the most part conquered it. Mm-hmm. It wasn't so much the traditional stutter in a sense, but just I talk too fast and then I start to, run over my words. But you put me at a podium in front of a full auditorium and I can crack them all up. And somewhat, I feed off a live audience a little bit better than I do in a podcast, but yeah, it's something about that. Oh, I got to laugh. Confidence is up. I'm not even thinking about it anymore. Just rolling. I don't know if I don't know if I'm brave enough to do improv though. I applaud you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've always loved public speaking. Like I'll be the first to volunteer. Public speaking, I got it. I'll go.
Yep. Me too. Yeah.
Hand me a microphone my coworkers found out very quickly in my current job. We went to this event and we had to stand and present for our group kind of thing. And I had been there for maybe a month or two at this point. So I wasn't really like myself. I was starting to like open up a little bit. I usually say pretty reserved for the first 90 days kind of thing, just because I don't want to get fired or anything. I don't want to give too much of myself. After that 90 days and I'm locked in, like, haha, that's to be you. But no, so they hand me a microphone and I couldn't help but you give me a microphone, you put me in front of a crowd. Like, I'm just gonna become not a different person, but I'm gonna be totally myself. I'm gonna make jokes. I'm gonna crack jokes. I'm just gonna have fun with what I'm doing. I'm gonna have fun with this presentation. I'm gonna make it my own. I'm gonna enjoy what I'm doing. I love being behind a microphone. Like I love being behind a microphone because it's my way of like connecting and speaking. Like, do I have the deepest, dopest, sultriest voice? No. Do I have a speech impediment and my S's and things like that sound weird? Yes. Do I stutter sometimes? Also, yes. Do I and use a lot of filler words even this many episodes in? Yes. Do I care
Me too.
if you care about that? No, I don't care what you think about that. No. But yeah, with improv, it's probably one of my favorite things because I feel I use it all the time. And now with podcasting at this level, with how many different people I get to talk to and how many different conversations I have, like if I didn't have an improv background, my podcast would have failed a long time ago. But because
I
I
can see
have
that.
an improv
It's
background, I can like listen and I'm like, okay, give me some kind of buzzword, like just give me something to talk about. Because now I have all this knowledge on all this random stuff and all these random topics with life and parenting and fatherhood and religion and politics and things like that. Because I've educated myself. I've taken the time to educate myself on politics and I'm already biracial, but I learned more about race and I learned more about politics and gender and things like that. I'm a mental health clinician by trade during the day. Um, so it's like I already have these like things in my head, like all these words kind of bouncing around. And I'm just waiting for you to tell me. Pretty much, I'm in my warehouse right now. I'm on like a little speed scooter. You just tell me the words so I can run to that shelf, grab that box, and open it up. I'm just waiting sometimes, but I love improv. It's the same in my with me and my fiance. She she's always says I can't see anything around you.
yeah,
She's like you never take it seriously, or sometimes like I don't think about it and it's just like a natural like quick, and it's a little too much of being an ass, or a little too much of being a little bit
yeah.
too quick, or a little bit too mean, a little bit too honest, trying to be a little bit too funny sometimes. Um,
I agree. My wife is the best person I know. You know, I mean, just kindest hearted, very funny person too. But like sometimes my more crass humor comes out, and it's like she constantly accuses me of ruining her childhood because like we'll be watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is one of my favorite things to riff on around the holidays. Absolutely love Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer,
Absolutely.
but then I start pointing out, like, so this is a very brutal, just a terrible, terrible, jokingly saying this is just a terrible cartoon, or not really cartoon, it's claymation. She's like, no, it's not. It's like, hey, they take this snowman down and they brutally rip its teeth out. And the whole time they're calling it a bumble, which to me is, that's kind of like name calling. I mean, well, it is
Right.
name calling. And it's, I can just go on and on about,
I'm the exact
it's.
same. Like I'll pick up on random stuff all the time, and it's
Mhm.
like or overhear a conversation at work, and I'll just like interject, and I'll just make like I'll just turn around and like make a face like, oh my gosh, and I just take it completely out of context. I'm the PC Michael Scott
Okay.
of my
Nice. I can
office.
respect that.
For the most part, it's mostly PC. Sometimes it hits a gray area.
See,
Um,
I fell into the to the gym role of office prankster for a while too, but my current job doesn't really allow for that. But previous jobs, it was fun to have a little fun, set people up type of thing.
Yeah, and that's what I like to do at work. I'm the exact same to where I like to just I'm like if I wasn't here, you guys would hate this job. Like
Yeah,
I do silly
that's
things like I'll write fun facts on the whiteboard that you see right when you walk in the morning. I'll write a fun fact on there. Like I just wrote one the other day about octopuses and how octopuses have three hearts, or octopi have three hearts, two that pump blood to the tentacles and one that pumps blood to the rest of the body. Like no one needs to
they
know
just
that.
learned something. They just learned something. Now they can talk about it now.
Yeah,
So you're helping them out.
it's just to have conversation. It's like,
Yeah.
did you see that dumb fun fact that Jay wrote up? They're like, yeah, but it was actually kind of interesting. Or then I wrote one about Legos one time and like how like high you could stack a Lego, like Legos on top of each other before the weight would give out and they would collapse. Like it was just random stuff. I'm just like, what's random? Like what would people enjoy? Like, what's funny? What's going to help people just, like, not stress out as much, not take things as serious, to just, like, enjoy the ride a little bit more? Because I just want people to enjoy it. I just want everyone to, like, stop taking things so seriously. Stop taking...
Exactly. And actually, that was a big point that I tried to get across in our last episode of the Nonsense Zone, was that, you know, I want this show, my vision of this show is as an escape, because the world is getting uglier by the day, it feels like, and it's just an angry place now, and just want people to, like, all right, well, half hour, 45 minutes, you can go to the Nonsense Zone, watch the show, and just have a few laughs. You know, it just tone everything else out and laugh at these two idiots laughing at each other. You know,
no, I love that, and that's a lot of what we do on our show. You know, like, I just want it to be a place to where, like, you can literally feel like, okay, I got my juice box, I got my snack, I'm just gonna kick it, I'm just gonna listen to this because I'm gonna be a part of the conversation. It's just two guys talking and having a conversation about, maybe sometimes it's religion. Okay, cool. I get to learn something new.
Yep.
Or maybe it's politics. But it's not like getting deep into politics, like, let me plant my flag on this issue kind of thing. It's like, no, let's have an educated conversation about it. And let's talk about it in the sense that, like, how it affects us as, like, fathers. Let's talk about how these things affect us, like, as fathers. Because you could be thinking, man, all this political stuff, I don't know how to sort through it. I don't know where to start. I don't know what even affects me. Well, so many episodes I've done, not recently, but over the course of the catalog, like, I've talked to educators, and I've talked to teachers, and I've talked to people who were involved in the educational system, and it's like, that's where you need to care, kind of thing, or you need to care about so-and-so, you need to care about this issue and this issue, kind of thing. And these are some things, like, and how it affects you. These are the things.
The thing that worries me, and I'm very careful when I talk about politics now, and so, like, for one, I'm not going to say if I'm, you know, one way or another, but it just, in general, the thing that really concerns me when it comes to politics is that everybody's forgotten how to disagree on things. You know, it's just, if you don't share my viewpoint, you're my enemy now. And that's, like, that is horrible, because we need, I wouldn't say two parties. We need possibly more than, I don't know the solution, but we need differing opinions, because you will never evolve as a human being if you just surround yourself with people that agree with you all the time. So, you know, you need, one side needs the other. Otherwise, it's just, I don't know. Nobody will ever grow.
It's not democracy. It goes quickly from democracy to communism, or to a dictatorship, or into these other things. It turns very quickly.
Trust me, you do not want that. There's so many studies out there that of younger generations saying, you know, maybe this is okay. You know, the order and stuff that comes with no, trust me, you don't want that.
We don't want that.
You can get arrested in the street for having an opinion, you know, and
they literally do in China. They literally do in China. They literally get arrested in China. Like, they can't put things on social media that they disagree with. They can't disagree with the rulership in any way, shape, or form. It's all tracked. It's all monitored. Everything. Like, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want that. But
so just everybody needs to just step back and be like, okay, I don't agree with that. Is there anything about that might be valuable information to help me decide, you know, what I do think, you know, because, you know, like I said, you gotta evolve. You gotta, if you've never changed your mind about anything, if you say, I believe, or I agree with 100% of what this person says, then you're not using your own mind anymore. So it's very important to have those differences and to appreciate those differences. And I feel like at some point this country used to do that. And now it's appreciating differences. Nah, that's not a thing anymore.
No, I agree. And we stopped. Where we really went wrong is we don't have conversations like this anymore. Is we stopped having these conversations. We stopped asking each other instead of arguing.
It's hard to.
It is,
because it becomes combative now, and nobody. I'm a non-confrontational person. I'll avoid.
It doesn't have.
I agree.
It can just be simple. Andy, let's say you told me something. Let's say you told me something slightly controversial, right? Let's say you were talking about Only topic that comes to my head right now is abortion. Let's say you took your stance on abortion, my stance was different. Instead of me
Sure.
yelling and fighting with you, it's like, you're wrong, Andy, you're a whatever kind of thing. It's like, interesting, Andy. Hey, do you have some time later that we can discuss this? I would love to learn more about your point of view. I would love to learn.
Why do you feel
I
that
would love
way?
to
What?
learn why you have
Yeah,
that take on it. Like, will you educate me, please? And like, maybe you know something I don't, but like, will you tell me your point of
it,
view? Can we sit down over coffee and like discuss this? Because I
it,
actually have a different point of view that I would love to share
sure.
with you. If you could share yours with me, like, we just stop
And
doing that.
I would throw in, because I've had people tell me, that, well, you're not going to change my mind. So, well, maybe I'm not trying to change your mind.
No, I'm
Just
not.
I'm trying to just tell you why I feel the way I
I want
feel,
to
and maybe
understand
that
your
will be
mind.
interesting.
I want to
Yes,
understand your mind. I want to understand
I'm
why
not trying to
you.
change your mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep. And it's just, yeah, it's that, worries me about having a child, another one on the way now.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So yeah, it's like, okay, you know what? I've had people tell me that they don't want to have kids just because of how scary it's getting out there. It's like, well, I'm hoping that maybe my kids will either move in, or the time they're growing up, maybe it'll be a better place, or maybe they'll be part of the solution. It's
Hopefully the solution sets itself up, honestly, because
yeah.
I don't know. I talked about this really in depth recently, actually, and I was like, something's got to give here. Either 2024 or 2028, something's got to give. Something's gonna change.
Yeah,
It's not that it's not going to. Something is going to massively change in America in the next 4 to 8 years. Something massive, drastic change. Something. It's going to be something. I don't know what it is because I'm well educated in politics. Like, I listen to a lot of politics. I pay attention at a very high level to politics just because I like to have informed discussions, informed conversations. I
absolutely.
like to know like both sides. I like to know the stories. I like to know all these different things. That's just for my own entertainment, really. But I see it. Like, I see the picture. Like, I'm informed, which I feel like is the biggest part. Like, if you're a dad and you're not informed on what's going on geopolitically, you need to start getting informed. Like, I know politics, no one wants to listen to that. It can be boring. It can be something, I don't want to involve myself. Well, are you going to vote in the election? Well, yeah. Okay, then get informed. Get
Yeah.
informed on all the issues. Do you know who's on your local school board? No, I don't. Okay, well, maybe you should. Maybe you should. Do you know who's in your local offices? And do you even know the number to call, the office to call to talk to your representative? Do you know who your representative is? Do you know what party your representative is? Well, no. You voted for him. You voted him in.
Right.
But do you know what they
And
stand for? Do you know where they fall on these like political issues that you care about that affect you and your community? No.
in a perfect world, when you go into the voting booth, I would feel like the perfect world would be that there's no name on it. It's just a list of, this is what this person wants to do, and this is what this person wants to do. And like, oh, okay, well, I'll vote for this person, because like, I
Yes.
know so many people I know just like, well, I'm part of this party, so I'm going to vote
Yeah.
for people in my party, and that's it. I'm not going to look at what they stand for. I'm not going to look at what they want to do. The other thing is, I often said it, and I've had people say, well, then you would never get elected. But like, if I was running for office and somebody asked me, to say something about my opponent, I would just say, no, I'm here to talk about what I want to do. In let my opponent talk about what they want to do, and that's the discussion that we'll have. I don't feel the need to start slinging mud at the other side
No.
or anything like that. I just interested in what a politician. I don't care what party they are.
No.
I don't care any of that.
Mm-mm.
I just want to know, what are your plans? If you get elected, what are your goals? And that's the only discussion that we need.
No, I agree. And that should be the discussion. That should be what it comes down to, is best case scenario. It shouldn't be the name or the party or the affiliation. And the fact that people still will vote for their party blind allegiance. It's like, hey, it's okay to party flop, which I feel a lot. It's gonna happen a lot this election cycle, whether it's Reds to Blues, Blues to Reds, or Blues and Reds to Independents. There's the independent poll numbers are showing the largest all-time numbers. The largest all-time numbers. Like the independent candidate is RFK Jr. Who could have
I caution people to look into that as, yes, there is an independent candidate, but if you're an independent, that doesn't mean that you're necessarily going for the independent candidate. That means you're going to go for the best of the available candidates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, hey, his vice president could be either Jesse Ventura or Aaron Rodgers.
Lifelong Bears fan. I don't want Aaron Rodgers in there. Just kidding. I don't. I'm not going to let that play into it.
I just think it's funny. I'm like, if he got Aaron Rodgers on the ballot, he literally just won the entire NFL viewership.
No, he didn't.
Well, a lot of it.
Trust me.
Maybe outside of the Bears. Maybe outside of the NFC North. But he gets a lot of votes that he wasn't going to get before by pulling that, like, PR wise. I think it would suck for Aaron Rodgers having to choose to, like, step away or do that, but I feel like that's kind of the path he's on with everything that he's done over the last couple years, especially since the Achilles injury, being on the
Pat McAfee show.
Being with McAfee, talking to I'm surprised.
Joe Rogan.
He was on Rogan. That was actually a really good interview they talked about on Rogan. I listened to that one. But it's like, okay, dude, what are you trying to pull here? What are you trying to do? Because he was on, like, I want to say within 6 weeks after RFK was on Rogan too.
Something. Yeah, it was close. I don't
know.
As a person that, I mean, I try to be impartial, even because staying on football. I mean, I have a lot of friends. I live in northern New York, actually, like right on the Canadian border. A lot of Giants fans, a lot of New York Giants fans, and I always pick on.
I'm sorry.
I know, it's not easy. No, but I know. And I pick on my Giants friends because when the topic of the Cowboys comes up, they lose all ability to be impartial or unbiased. Where I will tell you, as a Bears fan, Brett Favre, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. Oh. Then he was followed by Aaron Rodgers, probably even better. It's
and now Jordan Love was even better.
And now. So has the chance to be absolutely. But I will say that Aaron Rodgers is a narcissist to the 100th degree. Oh. The man has never apologized. He has never been wrong. He's never, the instance, and I don't want to take sides on anything, but like where the Jimmy Kimmel, Jeffrey Epstein comment, where he clearly insinuated that Jimmy Kimmel would be nervous about being on that list. I watched the show when it happened. He clearly insinuated that. And he came back and, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. I didn't. It's like, you did.
Yeah.
Go back. Just say I was wrong and I'm sorry. I was trying to be funny. That would have been the right choice to say. Yeah. When it came to the immunization, and I'm not saying wherever you lie on the immunization, that's fine. I'm not debating that. When he came out and said, was it that I'm vaccinated, he was being misleading. He was all right. And then he blamed the reporter afterwards. Well, the reporter didn't follow up. The reporter didn't, well, no, it wasn't you weren't vaccinated. Instead of saying that, you said I'm immunized, hoping that would paint a picture.
Yeah.
Again, not where you stand on that is not the issue that I'm talking about. I just,
he just in the wording and the verbiage. And then he called out, either he called him out or he was called out by him. But after Kelsey did the Pfizer commercial,
yes,
I'm pretty sure
calls him Mr. Pfizer.
I'm pretty sure they called each other out, and Rodgers was like, "Let's have a debate, bro." Very calmly on the McAfee show, he was like, "Hey, and
I give him credit for that.
I respect that. Like,
have a debate. Yeah, I do respect that
about him. Like about Aaron Rodgers is that like sometimes you got to be the villain. Sometimes you do got to be unapologetic and you can't apologize for everything. If that's like your stance and that's the hill you're gonna die on, like. bro, by all means, go and die on that hill. There's things I say on the podcast, and I'm like,
Sure.
I'm not. If you told me I have to apologize for that, I'm probably going to tell you no. That's my opinion. That's my stance. That's my platform. You either like it,
I agree with that.
take it or leave it.
I'm with you on that. It was the denial of saying it,
Yeah,
and then
like,
that's where it's like, no, dude,
it.
you were definitely saying this.
Yeah,
don't
own it.
Don't try to deny it. Don't. Yeah.
Own it. Own that. Own what you said. Own what you did. Because if you own it, people will be like,
yeah,
okay,
exactly. I respect that.
Shoot,
may not agree with it, and that's what we were talking about before. I may not agree with it, but I respect that you stood your ground.
Yeah,
and but to now like try to say, well, no, I didn't say that. Like, no, but you clearly were insinuating.
Yeah,
so.
I will 100%, 100 times over respect a content creator, a podcaster, a dad, a parent, whatever, that will, or a person in general that will be like, yeah, I said it. I'm not apologizing for it though, because that's what I believe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you disagree, but that's my stance. That's what I'm taking, and that's how I feel on my podcast. On the show, like,
sure,
I'll say some stuff. Like, go back and listen to the Mr. Nice Guy episode that at the time of this recording dropping soon, but that was a 2-hour podcast, and we talk politics, we talk race, we talk gender, we talk welfare, we talk child support, we talk all the stuff. Like, did I think that episode's gonna go 2 hours? I never think. That was the first time I've ever went over an hour in like 20 minutes. We could have kept going. We could have full on Rogan that thing and kept going.
Sure.
But like, I'm not gonna take back anything I said on that. Like, some of the things I said on that, I mentioned how child support should be more regulated. We dove into the history of the welfare. We dove into politics in these different areas and things like that. My conversation with dope individuals, Eric the host, same kind of concept. We talked about a lot of like political things, school board. My episode that came out with Think Inclusive and Tim, and we talked some really deep educational systemic issues, and like, people don't. I think the issue, kind of to wrap back to the point of how we got down this rabbit hole,
sure, yep,
was because we don't have conversations. We're afraid to have these conversations. Like, no, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers and the villain that he is, and let's also give the credit where credit's due. First ballot Hall of Famer, without a doubt.
Absolutely, one of the best ever.
One of the best to ever play the game. One of the smartest individuals off the field. One of the most well-spoken individuals off the field. A professional in every sense of the word. You never see him in a public setting not put together, not buttoned up, not saying the right things. Yes, he says it his own style, but like, you put him at the podium, he says the right thing. He can command a locker room. He walks into a locker room of any NFL team, and he just commands the respect of the staff, of the players, of everyone around him. He just gets it.
If I'm drafting a quarterback for my team, I mean, he's of all time. Yeah, he's definitely leadership wise, ability to read a defense. Just all aspects. There's stuff that they're learning about the quarterback position because of him.
Exactly.
Because he's like, this is, and so
changed
I mean,
the game.
Personally, do not like the man.
No.
But
credit's due, though,
but absolutely, he deserves all the credit in the world when it comes to his career. And
without Aaron Rodgers, we wouldn't have Patrick Mahomes.
That's true.
Because
that is absolutely true.
Mahomes' play style is very similar to Aaron Rodgers. The unique arm slots, the movement, the picking apart a defense, the shredding a zone. Like, Aaron Rodgers was doing all that stuff. He did all that stuff. The arm slots, the weird passes, the creativity in play calling, and I'm pretty sure there's multiple clips of Aaron Rodgers' headset going out and him just leading a game-winning drive.
My all-time favorite quarterback was Jim McMahon, being a Bears fan, and one of the things that really I really dug about him was that you'd see the NFL films clips of the coach telling him, like, we're going to run this play, and he'd be like, no, that's not the right play. We're going to do this. And Rodgers has that same mentality, and any coach that has half a brain is going to listen to Aaron Rodgers in that situation because
absolutely.
he knows. I mean, he's one of the smartest football players on the football field that there has ever been.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what happens in New York this year with a healthy Aaron Rodgers coming off. He could have came back last year, which was, I don't know if it was the ayahuasca or the darkness retreats or what it was that healed the Achilles so quick that he almost came back and made a playoff run if they would have made the playoffs, but
I'm excited that they've decided to permanently go back to their 80s, 90s uniforms.
The Kelly Green.
They made that call. Yeah, they wore them for like Aaron Rodgers' first game. Now that's their main uniform now.
Those are pretty. Those are pretty.
I'm a big uniform guy when it comes to the NFL, and so I'm like, and I hate it when a team changes uniforms.
No, what about those MLB uniforms though? Been keeping up on
those
that?
are.
Have you been keeping up
a
on
little
all that
bit
going on?
A little bit, yeah. Doesn't look good. It just I'll say with that, along with the NBA right now, I have a hard time with the NBA because each team has a dozen uniforms now, and it's just like that's a detriment to me, But yeah, I've seen the pictures I've seen of the MLB uniforms is some of them, they don't seem to like they fit right. Some of them almost seem like transparent. The coloring's off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's bad.
Come on, Nike.
It's so bad.
I'm a Nike fan. Come on, Nike. You can do better than this.
It's so bad. So if the listeners like baseball uniform, what are they talking about? So this year, 2024 spring training, Nike took over from Majestic the exclusive rights to MLB uniforms. What had happened on the back end? Double the price. An MLB jersey is now $400 versus being around $200 previously by Majestic. You can still go online. You can get dupes of the old Majestic uniforms for like $120 kind of thing. There's plenty of websites out there that you can get low-key better quality ones because these new ones Nike pushed, they're lighter, they're more breathable, better fabric, but they are so thin. The lettering's smaller. It's teeny tiny in comparison. But there have been some teams that got out ahead of it, and they're like, no, keep our lettering the same from all our previous uniforms. There's been teams in spring training that said, well, we didn't really like our pants, so we just pulled out last year's and we've been wearing those kind of thing. The grays on road uniforms, the grays on the pants and the jersey top do not match. Come.
It's
you can see the uniform through the pants too. You can see the players' balls.
Yeah, I'm an old guy here, so I remember in the NFL when free agency first opened up really and became players could actually go to other teams, and this was in the early 90s, I think, maybe late 80s, early 90s. And people their argument was, well, you're cheering for the uniforms now. You're not. Well, okay, so we're cheering for the uniforms because diehard Chicago Bears fan. This year's Chicago Bears team, player-wise, not going to look a lot like last year's. So, yes, I am cheering for the uniforms, so please don't change the damn uniforms. Yeah, the uniforms are important. I used to like the Patriots until they switched. They had the nicest red, white, and blue, and they're Patriots. So having a red, white, and blue uniform with the Patriot that's down in the snapping position on the helmet, such a classy uniform.
So cool.
So then, they switched to these really cheesy looking blue uniforms with a silver helmet, and then they've upgraded. No, this was long before Tom Brady. But it was the Drew Bledsoe was one of the first ones to wear this uniform, and it was such an ugly uniform. And it's evolved and it's better now than it was then, but it's still not the red, white, and blue uniforms. So the Houston Oilers uniform, such a nice uniform. Yes.
The powders are nice. Yeah, no,
the creamsicle in Tampa Bay. But I think that
you seen that
they did. Well, they brought the Patriots brought theirs back
and they
too.
Brought the Eagles Kelly Green back, and
which is a great uniform
Seahawks
too.
Throwback got redone this past year.
That's fire.
I was in love. I was so. I'm like, I want everything Seahawks throwback. The blue was perfect. The blue was just.
So I feel like these teams, hopefully they follow the Jets' lead and like, all right, this was such a hit. we're going to change because, I mean, we went through all the Tampa Bay uniforms before they went back to the ones that they wear now. So hideous with the digital numbering and stuff. I have a feeling that when Tom Brady signed with them, he was like, I'm not wearing this ugly thing.
Probably.
You got to go back. Yeah. So, because, yeah, they're just awful.
No, I agree.
So,
and I think I like
hate it when teams change their.
I like that about the NFL uniforms is that they have a kit. Like you can have 4, pick your 4. Same with baseball, like pick your 4. You get 4.
Yeah, because it's fun to have the alternate uniform every now and then. I love the Bears orange uniform. I don't like the orange helmet with it.
No, you gotta have the offset helmet.
But it's fun to have that alternate a couple times a year.
Yeah.
But for the most part, when I flip the game on, I want to be able to tell who's playing before any graphics come up on the screen. You can't do that in the NBA.
No, oh my gosh, the NBA has gotten so bad because they have, I want to say they have kits of 6, plus they have like the City Connect jerseys.
Yep.
So I think they have kits of like 6 to 7. They have their home, their roads, their alternates, their alternate home, their alternate aways, their alternate, their City Connect. Like they have so many, and it's changing so rapidly. Like teams change these uniforms up every single year, and it's like
Minnesota Timberwolves fan. I love that they're wearing their original uniform.
Oh, dude, I would love to be a Timberwolves fan. I'm a bandwagon Timberwolves fan.
Okay,
because I just love.
I have been since they drafted Christian Laettner because I was a Duke fan.
Oh yeah, that was
Okay. So I've been following, and it's been not easy to be a Timberwolves fan. So like my two teams, the Timberwolves and the Bears, is like I am a depressed sports fan.
No, you're not. Not as much as me. I'm a Seattle fan.
Okay. Hey, you won a Super Bowl in the last 20 years, though.
Yeah, but Mariners, we lost our basketball team.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, the Supersonics had a great uniform too.
At least I'm not an Oakland fan. At least I'm not Oakland. I am an Oakland fan. I lived in Oakland for a long time. I love Oakland sports. I love going to A's games. Been to a couple Raiders games. I went to a lot of Golden State Warriors games when they were at the Oracle, the O.co Arena. A lot of good stuff. I'm a Warriors fan, definitely. That's kind of where my fandom went. Because just as the Sonics left, I moved to the Bay Area, and so then Steph was coming into the league. I was like a year or two before Steph. Steph came in, and I grew up with Steph. All the things, it was so cool to be a Warriors fan.
So don't hate me, but Las Vegas is my happy place.
It's everyone's happy place.
So I mean, I try to go once a year, and it's coming from New York. It's an expensive trip, so it might not happen this year. But yeah, so I was like, oh, cool. There's going to be a football team in Vegas, and now they're just robbing Oakland because now it looks like the A's could pretty sweet looking. There's a lot of stadium issues going up that the stuff I'm reading, it's this could fall apart, but
it's not going to.
No.
It's already got funded. It's already got plans. It's already got everything.
They're tearing down the Tropicana for it.
I think they already tore it down, or they have an expected demolition date and everything.
They have a date there. You can still actually until mid-April. Okay. I think you can still stay there.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm pretty plugged into Vegas.
Okay. They have plans to, go to a host stadium or something like that, or not even go to a host stadium. They could still move to Vegas and play at the Aviator Stadium for a couple years. I mean, that's their own AAA team, which, why are they trying to look at, the Utah stuff, and why are they trying to look at, staying at the Coliseum? No, bounce from the Coliseum, just go and play at your AAA stadium, offset your AAA games, work with the MLB, work with the MILB to wiggle that around. Yes, you'll have low attendance numbers, or you'll probably have high attendance numbers in that stadium. But again, you're going to get so much more revenue because, yes, the schedule will have to be a little bit trickier. Maybe they'll have to play 2 series, or they'll have to travel mid-series and stuff, which would be good for those AAA guys, honestly, to travel a little bit more. Shoot, we only get 3 games here because the A's are coming into town, and how cool would it be to get those AAA guys to get to rub shoulders with the A's and they're all AAA players essentially anyway. But they get to have exchanges with the coaching. Yes, maybe they share batting practice that morning before the AAA team has to leave. and before the
Talk about
A's games that night. Like there's a lot of benefits. Plus, they get to establish
strengthen
Vegas.
your talk about strengthening your farm system, man. I mean, yeah, do it. Let them play with the big league guys on a regular basis in practice.
Yeah, let them hang out. Let them like talk, interact.
That can only help.
Like, push your AA guys up to AAA, just knowing that like, yeah, you're gonna suck probably, but you're gonna get a lot of exposure to the MLB club. You're a high end prospect. Like, this should work out really well. And I think it would be smart because then they can just establish themselves in Vegas.
Well, players will want to go to Vegas. Not that they don't necessarily want to go to Oakland, because Oakland has a storied history and
great history. Beautiful, rich history.
Absolutely. But the younger players that aren't necessarily up on that, they're like, oh, you mean I could go to Party City and play? Could get in trouble with that. I could definitely see that going sideways for you, but there's still going to be a lot of people like, oh, I get the chance to, and well, honestly, a lot of the people that live in Vegas don't ever go on the Strip, or I have a friend that lives in Vegas, and I don't think he ever goes onto the Strip or downtown Vegas or anything, but there's a lot of really nice areas outside of those two spots in Vegas. So it's kind of a cool place to live.
Yeah, no, it's nice. I really like it. I think it's a good move for the team. Oakland's, I mean, they closed the In-N-Out. They closed the Walmart. They closed all these things that are really close to the Coliseum, honestly. And the Coliseum isn't doing anything. I think the thing that frustrates me the most is the Coliseum. So there's going to be a new Pioneer League team, the Oakland Bees or the Oakland Ballers, a new Pioneer League team. So that's, non-affiliated baseball with the MLB and the minor league baseball. Pioneer League's its own independent league. But the Oakland Ballers had a contract set up with the Coliseum to host their opening night there for the Ballers, for this new team that's rooted in Oakland ownership, everything. And the Coliseum said, actually, we're not going to do that. So peace out. But then they were able to find a different field, and it had the field had ties to the Negro League and way cooler, way more rich, way better everything. Just so much better overall. And it was just unfortunate because it's like, okay, I see why the A's are leaving now. Because the Coliseum, ownership, the land, the city, they're not trying to work with the A's. If they really wanted to keep the A's, if they truly and really wanted to, they wouldn't have drug out the process of trying to realign the stadium, move the stadium, rebuild the stadium, give them a new stadium right there on the waterfront. There was plans. It would have been so cool. It would have been so beautiful. Right there down at Jack London Square. It would have been so great. It would have been so amazing. Revitalize that community, clean it up, put some money into it, interject some life right there. If the city really wanted it, and the city really, really wanted it, they would have done it. They would have done it. It would have been a snap thing. Tampa Bay took no time at all to get theirs done. These other teams, when it's time to renew or time to change, they have a list. Cities like, you're ready? Cool. Sign it right here. Here's the proposal. We've had this drafted for 5 years. Here you go.
Chicago, everybody's fighting over who gets to build the Bears next, or the Bears next stadium. So I think they bought Arlington Heights. Now the city stepped in, but all these other communities have stepped up. Oh no, bring it here, because there's a whole tax issue with Arlington Heights. So it's they're fighting over it. It's all a thing.
That's what it should be. It should be like a inner city fight kind of thing. No, we want them. No, we're going to outbid you. No, we're going to outbid you. No, we're going to reallocate our funds to this. No, we're going to do it kind of thing.
I don't like the idea that the Bears are going to be playing under a dome. That breaks my heart. Yeah. But
that's the way
I understand from a business. Well, it's a business standpoint. They want to be able to host the Super Bowl. They want to be able to host WrestleMania. They want to be able to host Taylor Swift's next concert. They want to be able to host
the next
year-round
NBA All-Star game.
Absolutely.
They want to be able to host all this stuff. So,
from a business standpoint, I get it, but I mean, the bear weather is a real thing,
it's an advantage. It's a clear advantage, except if you're Justin Fields. Anyway, I won't roast on that.
I think he might be working fast food next season. I'm not sure. Nobody seems to want to trade for him, so I'm on the edge of my seat. Is a trade going to happen? Is it But
well, the Seahawks just traded for Sam Howell, so if there's a market for Sam Howell, There should be a market for Justin Fields, but
it's a little bit more nuanced because Justin Fields is coming to the point of his contract where if you draft for him, if you trade for him, you have to pay him. And that's the difference, because you're not, like, people have been saying, well, why is Sam Howell, for instance, why would they go out and get Sam Howell when Justin Fields is available?
Because the rookie deal at less than $5 million over those next 2 years. So if it worked out, great.
If you give up a draft pick for Justin Fields, you're not going to keep him for one season. And that means that the next season, you're going to have to pay him $25 million. So that's why people aren't trading for Justin Fields right now. It's not, there's a narrative out there that, well, it's because they can't play or they don't want him on the team. No, it's because you can go out and sign Gardner Minshew for a lot less money.
$20 million, and he's your starting quarterback in Vegas now.
Right. So where Justin Fields is still, they don't know what they have if they go out and get him, and you have to tailor your offense to him. Oh, and you have to give him a $25 million contract, or not contract, but you have to pay him $25 million next year.
Well, I think the Bears really showed their hand pretty hard by trading for Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
Yesterday, at the time of this recording, they just barely traded for Keenan Allen. That'll give you context. It's March. They just barely traded for Keenan Allen. Now they have a wide receiver room of Keenan Allen and DJ Moore to go with a good enough line.
Underrated line. The line is not the problem that people.
Now you have a legit running back. You're not going through the Khalil Herberts and the second string guys who should stay second string. Now you have a bona fide starting running back in Swift. Now you have two legit wide receivers. You have a 1A and a 1B now. You have DJ Moore coming to Justin Fields' side, look, this is your dude. You cannot just replace this dude. Set him up for success. He's had a crappy career because he's had so many coaches. He has so many ears.
I'm of the opinion that I would love to see them keep Fields and take the draft capital. I mean, if you can get, they're saying that teams are going to give you 3 1s for that spot, plus maybe a couple of 2s, whatever. Because Justin Fields showed a lot of progress at the end of the season. There was a stretch. There was a stretch of 3 or 4 games where he was the highest rated passer in the NFL, and nobody's really talking about that. I traded for him in
fantasy. I went out of my way to get him in fantasy. I gave up.
Don't get me wrong. It's frustrating watching him sometimes. Sometimes I'll be watching him going, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball, throw the ball. Because he does hold it. He does look for that home run, or, again, towards the end of the season, it was getting better, but there were times where it was like, all right, he's not looking up anymore. He's rolled out and he's looking for a running lane instead of looking up for a receiver. And that was frustrating me. But I saw so much progress, growth, and that will continue to get better.
So now that he has a 2 legit wide receivers, and, last year after he came back from injury, he was the QB8, QB24, QB3, QB26, QB4, QB3, QB26 in fantasy.
No, this is no slouch. This is no people comparing him to, Sam Darnold got that. No, he was doing better than Sam Darnold. People were like Daniel Jones, whatever. No, I would take Fields over Daniel Jones any day of the week. Absolutely. It's not, you're not comparing apples to apples here when you're talking about or putting that bust label on him. I think whoever gets him is going to get a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback if he's in the right situation.
Which I think he finally is now. He was not set up for success early in his career with the coaching changes, with the coaching carousel, with the system. He didn't have a quarterback. He didn't have a coach that knew how to use him. They didn't play to his strengths. They didn't play to his abilities. They didn't have a wide receiver 1. He was throwing to Darnell Mooney as his number 1. Disgusting. Darnell Mooney's now a 4th option in Atlanta now.
In Atlanta. Yep.
Which I think is going to be great for his career, but.
Oh, I think so too. I think he didn't fit the offense for Luke Getsy once Getsy came in. I think Mooney can have a solid career. I actually, when they were saying that the Chiefs were going to be the front runner for him signing him, I thought, he could potentially be a game changer for Mahomes because
a Hollywood Brown instead.
Yeah,
which I'm geez, the rich get richer.
Yeah.
They re-signed
But
everybody. But yeah, we spent a lot of time sports talking here. But hey, it's what we do.
yep,
It's what we do.
yep,
We talk about
sure,
whatever happens and whatever comes up, really. But um, I just one thing I wanted to touch on just real quick
sure.
was you have a 2-year-old right now with another one on the way, right?
16
16
months.
months.
But I don't know when this will come out, but it's she'll be inching towards 2.
Inching towards 2. Okay, so you have a 2-year-old, one on the way, and you mentioned, I heard it, I caught it, I don't know if the listeners did, you mentioned you're 45.
Yes.
I don't want to say how did we get here because that feels like the wrong phrase. But how did we come about having kids?
I was 44 when my daughter was born.
A little bit later, I guess.
Yeah. So I gotta tell you, it's like most people's lives. Mine has been a roller coaster. Had a failed marriage in my. Let me see. That ended in my early 30s.
Me too.
Yeah, cool. So I mean, that was part of it. Part of it was I knew that I knew that if I had a kid in my 20s, now a lot of people can do it and do it well. I think if I had a kid in my 20s, it wouldn't have gone well. I was pretty self-centered. I just wasn't ready. I was immature. I think at 44, I'm much more equipped, much more patient, much more, I've got a better control of my temper, all of the things that are so important. Just an outlook that like now I catch myself like when it's time to rock her in a chair and get her to go to sleep at night. I would love to just be able to put my feet up and relax and maybe start a movie or something. But it's like, no, I don't mind sitting here for an hour sometimes rocking my daughter because I'll look at her and be like, she's going to be 13 before I know it. So when I was in my 20s, I wouldn't have had that thought process.
Mm-hmm.
I would have just been like, will you go to bed so that I can go do stuff? It's been huge. I think I'm much more equipped. At the same side, I am nervous about the idea of not getting to see certain parts of her life, or maybe my health won't be that great when she's leaving for college because I'll be in my 60s. It's so that's actually
fair.
Got me. I was a runner. Now I'm taking running a lot more seriously because I'm like, I need to exercise. I'm keeping myself, staying active will help me.
Motion is lotion.
Possibly.
Motion is lotion.
Yeah. Well, so maybe I'll be in better physical condition when she's in her 20s. Right now my dad is 71 and he's not in great shape. So it's just like, if I can better that situation for myself by staying more active. Yeah, that's the goal. My mindset these days is now. Don't get me wrong. I still like beer. I still eat a lot of pizza. I got to get out of the eating a pint of ice cream before I go to bed habit. I have my vices, but I'm doing my best to be a little bit more physically active.
No, I think that's so important, and I love that mindset and that perspective overall. Like, I had my first kid. I was 22 when she was born. I was barely 22, and so now, like, I pretty much raised her throughout my 20s. Like, I didn't even have a fully developed frontal lobe, kind of thing. And
sure.
it's crazy to see, like, going through divorce 3 years ago, and just everything that's happened since, like, raising these 2 girls now. My second one was born in 2020, and probably a third one here, third one with my soon-to-be wife at the time of this recording. I'm just going to call her my wife because we'll be married probably by the time this comes out with my wife.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But we'll have a third one and stuff, and I'm just like, man, I'm like, a lot of different parts of me, kind of like you said, like, there's parts of me that worry, like, am I gonna get, like, I know I'll probably get there. God willing, of course, we'll get to those points in life that we'll get to see. But I can definitely see that on your end, too. Like, am I gonna be there in her 20s? Am I gonna be there in her 30s? Am I gonna get to see them get married and grow up? Am I gonna get to meet my grandkid kind of thing? And
right.
I worry about that too. Just like, and I think that's just a legit fear and a legit worry. I definitely see the context for you a little bit differently than for myself, and I think that's 100% valid. It is totally. Um, so I'm not trying to discount that at all.
Sure, no.
But it's important to do those things, to keep that mindset of like, okay, the more active I stay, the healthier I am, the longer I'm going to live. Because essentially, God willing, that's true. Like, I have a old friend. I saw him last night. I went to Lowe's, and I had to get a doorknob. I had to replace a doorknob in my place. And his name's Bill. Bill is old. He is very old. I want to say he's in his 80s. He's still working at the Lowe's. He's been at this Lowe's since it was like 3 different stores ago. He's seen a dozen store managers. He's seen all the changes. He's just Bill. He's just there pushing his little cart around and working and helping people and having conversation. And
good for him.
He like shouts over at me. His eyesight's kind of going, but he shouts over at me. He's like, "You guys need any help?" I'm like, "No, thanks, Mr. Bill," because I would always call him Mr. Bill. This is like a respect.
Okay.
He's a veteran. I've
Sure.
always tried to call like people who are older than me that I like really respect, like Mr. or Miss, kind of.
Sure, I do that too.
And I'm like, no, I'm good, Mr. Bill. And that like registered it for him. He walked away a little bit, and then he came back with his cart, hunched over and stuff, and he's like, "I recognize the voice, I recognize the face, but the name's coming up short. Remind me your name." I'm like, "Oh, it's Joel. I used to run Garden Center." He's like, "Oh yeah." We had a whole conversation. This dude is still sharp as a whistle. He's sharp. He's smart. He's intelligent. I asked him a question about doorknobs. I'm like, "You think this one would be a good one for the bedroom?" And then he broke down doorknobs in like 3 minutes for me, quicker and faster than someone a quarter of his age would have. Like, he's
staying active. That's the key. I mean, I know so many people retire and then they just like watch TV all day and yeah. So it's
he doesn't want to do. He said, I've literally heard him say it. We would talk about it. I'm like, "Bill, why do you keep working?" He's like, "Let me tell you something." He's like, "The day that I stop working, the day that I stop moving, I'm going to die within a year. If I stop moving, I stop working, I stop walking and driving, like, I'm dead."
You got to know yourself. And some people put it's a situation where, if you know that you're somebody that's not going to stay active, it's important to know that, like, all right, so I'm going to stay working, because if I have a day off, or I know if I have a week off, and if I spend that week on the couch, then that could be mindset that I end up with when I retire. And it's important that you don't do that,
Yeah.
So if you know that you're going to fall into that trap, then don't retire.
No.
I'm hoping that I'll be physically well enough to keep running, and when I retire. So I am looking forward to retirement. I am a guy looking forward to retirement, but I'm hoping that I'll be able to retire and then do things that I want to do.
Absolutely.
So that's
absolutely. And I think that's important. Just stay active. I think that's so important. If you're a dad and you're not active in some way, and I'm not trying to preach gym and gym bro mentality. I'm a gym bro. I love going to the gym. I love working out. I get in the cold plunge. I do some kettlebells. I get in the sauna. I do the full Joe Rogan kind of thing. I'm at the gym for maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours every time I go, because I'm warming up, I'm lifting, I'm cold plunging, I'm saunaing, I'm showering, I'm doing all the things I can. Maybe some recovery mix in there, a massage or something. Like, I'm like doing the gym. I'm getting my money's worth, essentially.
I miss the gym. I have a basement that I've turned into my dungeon gym, where I have some rubber mats down, and I do a lot of. My wife has the Beachbody subscription, so I've been doing like Insanity and P90X and stuff like that. But I miss the gym for for the whole camaraderie and
definitely
just seeing other people. And
I think one thing that you could do is, if you wanted to switch it up, order yourself a set of kettlebells. Kettlebells.
You're
do some kettlebell workouts. There's some great ones. I can send them to you. There's this one guy I follow, or I have another guy. He's a kettlebell coach. He coaches exclusively with kettlebells through his program. He's fantastic. He's been on the podcast. His name is Ethan Lynn. At the time of this recording, his episode comes out in like 2 weeks. But when people hear this back, they'll be able to go and look at that one. But it's fantastic. I'm a big believer in kettlebells, especially for dads.
I've done kettlebells
because
I like kettlebells.
it encourages us like hinge points. It works our hips. We need our hips. We need the power. We need the explosion. We need to be able to do this with our triceps and lift our kids up. We need to be able to bicep curl and lift our kids up. Essentially, kettlebells translate directly into being a dad.
I can see
Weird
that.
as like that can like think about it, but you grab that kettlebell by the horns and you're bicep curling it. Guess what? You're lifting up by the armpits and you're curling it. You're lifting your kid over your head. You're using your triceps. You're going down to pick them up. You're using your hips and you're squatting. And you're lifting that weight up, kind of thing. Like kettlebells, I think, are direct relation to like fatherhood.
No, that makes total sense. I'm a guy that stupidly never really worried about my core too much because I always considered that to be like glamour muscles type of thing. And then I got into running and somebody was like, well, telling me different workouts. He's like, what do you do for your core? And I'm like, well, not much. He's like, what do you mean not much? You can't run without a strong core. I'm like, and so I've started focusing on my core more and in my balance because I'm older and I know all these people that are 20 years older than me and they're starting to like wobble when they walk. And it's like, I need to, all right, my balance, my core, anything that'll keep my heart rate, good, cardio, because, keeping that ticker going is so important if you want to increase your longevity. So, Sylvester Stallone, huge Rocky fan.
Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone gave the advice, somebody asked what he could do or what they could do. And he's like, just keep moving.
Yes.
That's the only advice I can give you. Just keep moving. And that's great advice.
Exactly.
So I mean, I have a half marathon coming up in just over a week.
Ooh,
I have
nice.
follow that up by a second half marathon like 2 weeks later.
It's like a full marathon.
So yeah, so I mean, I've got that coming, and so that's my mindset and trying to like I said. I want to see I told my daughter, not that she can really comprehend a lot of what I say, but I told her
she absolutely.
I told her that I want to see her turn 50. So
absolutely, she'll pick it up. They pick up a lot more than you think they do at that age.
That's true. She mimics me like crazy. Yeah.
Love that. I think another thing that might really help you specifically, and take the unsolicited advice for what you will, but since you're doing a lot with your hips and you're running and your core and your back and stuff, I think it's so important for you to see a chiropractor from time to time, especially like
I do.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I do.
Between events,
get
everything reset, get those hips set right, get that lower back set right, get everything reset right and aligned.
I tell you what, though, one of the best things that inadvertently happened last year, I was getting ready for, I ran a St. Jude rock and roll marathon in Nashville, Tennessee.
Oh, that would be so fun. That would be so cool.
It was wonderful. It was, I didn't realize how hilly, and afterwards it was like, you've conquered the hills of Nashville, because it is a fairly hilly town. But it was so much fun, but I was really stressing out because I raised a lot of money for that. And so I'm like, to me, that was more pressure. I was like, all right, well, now I got to do well because I raised I raised $2,500, going into this run. And so I was pushing myself really hard to the point where I was like starting to not feel well. And my wife was like, we're going to go to the Nordic Spa up in Ottawa. And this was like maybe a week or 2 weeks before. And that day, just going from sauna to hot tub to cold tub to sauna to whatever, it was just what I needed. I mean, your body does need that therapeutic when you're training. It does need that recovery aid. So
I think that's
all that stuff. Doing yoga, going to the chiropractor, all that stuff is so important to training, especially when you're pushing yourself hard, which I'm doing right now because I decided late to run these runs. So I'm not.
You have a short window.
Yeah, I have a shorter window than normally to get ready for these. So.
But yeah, that's a lot of the reason why I like to cold plunge every day, kind of thing. Not only for the mental aspects of it, those perks and parts of it, because those are great. But also like the recovery piece. Like my muscles, like they can get that cold shock and then they get the hot shock and they can recover rapidly in that in that moment through the cold and the hot therapies, and just it feels so good. Like I can walk out, I'm not sore the next day when I cold plunge, but if I work out and I don't cold plunge or sauna, like my muscles are stiff, they're sore, they're weak,
Sure.
they're heavy. Like the worst feeling is to feel like your muscles are heavy and not in a good way.
So I normally have because of my age, I have a don't run back-to-back days rule. And I broke that rule the other day because I was like, I need to run. It's a beautiful day. Northern New York in March, you have to take the beautiful days that they give you because there aren't a lot of them. So it was like we had back-to-back 60-degree days where the sun was out. It was like, I'm running both of those days. Yeah. That second run, I felt sluggish, stiff. Afterwards, the next day, and I'm never sore after a run, but the next day I was just kind of like, I have the flu feeling, I knew I didn't, but I was like, all right, I shouldn't have done 2 hard runs back to back like that.
Yeah.
But you live, you learn.
Yeah. I think you just got to figure that out, like with your body and everything, just like, okay, I went hard yesterday. I can still do something today. Maybe I just go on a 2-mile walk. Kind of thing, just to loosen up the muscles, just to get everything kind of reset, keep it moving, keep it flowing, keep everything moving in the right direction. Instead of going from like a hard thing to a hard thing, or going from a hard thing to nothing and just a straight recovery day, just do something kind of like intermediate, something easy, something just like a walk. And this is just like general advice, if you go hard one day, like do something soft and easy the next day. Go on a walk around the neighborhood with the kids, take them to the park.
I have a when I'm on a normal training cycle, I have a routine that works fairly well for me, where it's just kind of changing up, running, weights, so much going through like the cycle. But yeah, when you put yourself in a situation where like, I didn't leave myself enough time to get ready for this run, so now it's like, all right, now I got to throw the spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks type of, just to get myself there. And I know the week before the run, I don't do much of anything because, light walks, stuff like that, maybe some yoga. The week of the run, because I need my body to be fairly fresh.
Have you ever done Bikram yoga?
At run time?
Have you ever done hot yoga?
I haven't done it. I want to. Where I live, there's not really options.
Okay. I was gonna say like
there's not a lot here. It's if you have a gym, it's a college gym. If you have there's just not a lot to do here, right? When it comes to stuff like that.
You could do hot yoga the week of your run, just to like still get like the heat therapy aspect of it, to get everything like hot and going, and muscles flowing, blood flowing at a high level, heart rate going at a high level, sweating, releasing the toxins, stretching at a deeper level, higher level, because while you're hot, your body's hot and you're stretching, it goes deeper, it lasts longer, kind of thing. So I'm just like, maybe just throw that out there kind of thing. But yeah, I love that. I love that principle overall. Stay active, stay moving, stay limber, stay in that.
Sure.
There's no doubt about it. That will undoubtedly, I have no doubt, that will increase anyone's longevity. Because I've seen it firsthand.
And it's part of what I do, and I want to incorporate this into my show a little bit, is to encourage other people to run or do something like that with me, because my point of view is, if I can do it, you can do it. And it's start out small. I would tell people, go for a walk, but then on that walk, be like, all right, I'm going to run, I'm going to run from here till that sign.
Yep.
And you probably won't make it to that sign the first time. But then once you get to the point where you're running to that sign, all right, now I'm going to run until I get to that yard marker over there after the sign, and just keep gradually increasing it. And next thing you know, you'll be running a 5K. And that's how I started. And I'm still not a great runner. I mean, even on a 5K, sometimes I have to stop and walk for like a few, a minute or so. It happens. I'm not a professional runner. But it was a great way. That was the thing. You said you were an athlete. I was an athlete too. In my 40s, the opportunities to continue to be an athlete dwindle a little bit. So running is my way that I'm like, all right, now I get to continue to be an athlete. And it's training and the camaraderie. It's a big party at these runs.
I mean,
it's fun. You cross that finish line, and we go on a run every year in Utica, New York, called the Boilermaker. It's sponsored by beer companies, and you'll have people throwing you a beer during the run. If you crack, I know from experience, if you crack a beer and chug it, it's going to take you a few minutes before you can start running again.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good time. No.
But you at the end you get free beer. That's cool too.
That's perk. That's a perk.
Yeah. Plus, there's rock bands like along the way. There's rock bands playing music for you when you're running, and people are wanting to high five you.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, it's so fun. And that rock and roll marathon in Nashville.
Nashville is a place. I want to go to a music festival in Nashville. I want to go to a country music festival in Nashville. That's like a bucket list item, is go to a country music festival in Nashville during the summer. That's the dream. That's the dream.
My dream run would be Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Rock and Roll Marathon or half marathon, because they do it at night.
Ooh.
And they close down the strip.
That's cool.
And you're running under the lights the whole time.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's the one I really want to do. Plus, Vegas is flat for the most part, so flat. I mean, that helps. Yeah.
But another bucket list item for the people, and I'm going to shout out our sponsor of the podcast for this episode. Another dream for a lot of parents is driving positive behavior change among your kids. A lot of kids struggle with their behavior, their habits, their routines while they're at school and at home. Well, if you're looking for a tool to help you, June might be worth a look. This new revolutionary app combines a video game that kids love with important tasks and habits that you want them to practice daily. Morning routine, nighttime routine, morning hygiene, nighttime hygiene, sleep hygiene, shower hygiene, eating habit, chores, everything you want them to practice, conquer, and master as part of their daily practice. You can built into this app to help them do so. Give the app a try for free. Yes, free, FREE 99, free 99. And don't listen to my dog. He's wrong. And use my code YNGDAD to earn 25% off your subscription rate, and see why almost 1 million families and over 1,000 therapists are recommending June. That's JOON. And visit JOONAPP.io/YOUNGDAD, the name of the podcast, to learn more. And again, you can find that link down below in the description at the bottom underneath all the cool takeaways from today's episode. You can also find the link to our link tree, or the link in the bio, or blink in the Lio, as they say on the socials, where you can find all of our deals, specials, promos, partners, and everything that we do at the Young Dad Podcast on our link tree. And that's also linked below, and it's also link in bio. So with that, Andy, tell us where the people can find more of you, more of the podcast, connect with you guys further, listen to you guys, and all that fun stuff. Go ahead and give yourself a shameless plug.
Shameless plug. You can go to www.nonsensezone.com, and that will take you to our YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. We have Facebook page. We have a Threads page. A lot of people talk to us on Threads for some reason, which is cool because that's a fun community. Definitely, I know that my co-host only really watches our Facebook page. So to get us both, reach out to us on Facebook. But you can find all of this on www.nonsensezone.com, and stop by and have some fun with us. That's all we want to do. Is it's a little crude sometimes. We use salty language. We tell stories of when we were younger, and my co-host's line that he repeats constantly, which is a funny line, is I wasn't always the fine, upstanding citizen that I am today. These are more of our wild day stories. So, we're not really those guys anymore. But as
far as we know,
come by and have some fun with us.
We know you're not.
That's.
I won't tell. I won't tell the wife.
I appreciate that.
Anyways, Andy, thanks so much for the conversation today. It was a lot of fun.
It's been fun. I appreciate the invite.
I love the nonsense. I love everything we were able to riff on and talk about today. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. I appreciate it all too. It was fun.